In my childhood, I was never told that God wasn't real, but with evolution being such a good theory for how everything came into being, it just didn't seem required that a God would create everything out of nothing. When I was in high school, I'd met some Christians, but I always thought that maybe they were only Christians because their parents believed it. And Christianity is probably something that people grow out of. And I assume if I look at it, there'll be some pretty big and hard to deal with holes. When I first got to the Australian Defence Force Academy, or ADFA, as part of all the initial training and the initial series of things we were doing in the first 6 weeks, one of the chaplains came to speak to us and he said, "Look, you're all here, you're adults now. What do you believe? Maybe you might believe this, maybe you don't believe. You should be sure, at least, of what you've believed, and what you think you believe is up to you now. You're adults, you can decide." And so for me, having just moved out of home, that opportunity to think, yeah, I am an adult and I should decide this, was something really appealing. So I thought, I probably should investigate Christianity a little bit more. And so from there, I then signed up to the university Bible study group and started meeting up with one of the staff workers there. When I started going along to these Bible studies at university, I found out the guy I was meeting with had become a Christian as an adult. And this wasn't something that had sort of entered my mind as possible before, that people would become convinced of Christianity. It was totally new in my experience. And so I was going in with a somewhat open mind, but at the same time I was definitely skeptical, and I was looking for holes in it. I think on the surface, everything being quite good, and my studies going well, my training going well enough, having friends, I felt like I needed more. But at the same time, I also knew that just getting some better marks or doing something else probably wasn't going to solve the problem. I don't remember one night I went out drinking, just feeling absolutely hopeless, and made an absolute mess of myself. And my friends needed to look after me, which I didn't know about until they explained it to me the next morning. And then so in my own misery, I was then doing things that even I knew was wrong. And for someone who looked like they had their life together and probably thought I had my life together, it was pretty clear that I hadn't, and that the things that I wasn't doing such a good job in controlling my own life. When I became a Christian, it was a very slow process. After a year of meeting up with this staff worker and asking a whole heap of questions, I don't know if I was surprised, but it didn't have any massive contradictions. Over the holidays, after my first year of university, I'd gone travelling, and some of the things I'd seen, just like beautiful sights and things, I thought, it doesn't actually seem as if the world was randomly created to be beautiful. It seemed much more that maybe a God had existed and he had created everything. So I came back at the start of my second year and told this to the guy, and he said, "Are you ready to become a Christian? It sounds like you believe in God." I said, "Yeah, I do believe in God." "And you ready to become a Christian?" I said, "No, not really." So for another year and a half, I kept attending Bible studies, and I was genuinely interested in what the Bible taught and a whole lot of things, but I didn't become a Christian until my third year. Between the start of my third year and the start of my fourth year, a lot had changed. There was a clear purpose for life. There was a reason for living. There was a God to follow and obey, a God who loved me, but specifically it took a long time to figure out whether that would change anything. I'd love to be able to say that since becoming a Christian, I've never been sad or upset or miserable again, but the stark difference has been between before I became a Christian and after. Never have I felt that my life is meaningless or that everything's truly worthless. I go through hard times, I go through sad times, but never again do I need to doubt that overall that God is control, that God's sovereign, and God is most of all loving, and that He's working for our good through all things.